Thor's favorite movie you may not have seen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of like a fundraiser within a fundraiser because I don't leave the house much. I don't do much besides work. And so now that I don't have a car, one of my friends was like, hey, you know that Tarantino movie? I was like, yep. He's like, I'm going tomorrow at 11 a.m. so I can be all frugal. You want to go? I'm like, hell yeah. I love Tarantino. And Brad Pitt is one of my favorite actors of all time. I would only put Cary Grant above him if I had to. So by 10:30 tomorrow, I got to raise $20 to go to the movies. You might be like, why? $20? Are you going to 11? Yes. If I'm going to the theater, I really need a bucket of popcorn. That way I can put way too much movie salt on it and feel sick for the rest of the day. Oh, I have no popcorn salt control. And a slushie. So I thought, in a desperate attempt within this fundraiser within a fundraiser, to go see a movie I really want to see. I'm a huge fan of Tarantino's. I saw Reservoir Dogs before he was like huge. Pulp Fiction I saw in the theater. That was amazing. I saw the last one he did, The Hateful Eight. And my thought was, wow, he must have been going through a real bad divorce / relationship breakup when he wrote that one. It's kind of dark for me. And Inglourious Bastards, I thought, it's probably his best. That or Pulp Fiction. Anyway, so I would introduce you guys, and I got to warn you, I picked up a film camera when I was 7 years old, started writing screenplays at 13, went to film school twice, I spent a year in Hollywood, I did 2 L's, so I took a 10-year poverty and left. Okay, so if I get a little film geeky on you, you've been warned. Let's start with number 1. I'm trying to get ones you haven't seen. Searching for Bobby Fischer. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I've seen it anywhere 20 to 50 times. The whole thing is like a film school in a single movie. It is amazing. The cast is amazing. It's got Ben Kingsley, Lawrence Fishburne, Joan Allen, and this kid is great. It's kind of like Ender's Game with chess, but different. Highly recommend it. It's really good. Always makes me cry. And it deals with kind of some of the issues of being planetary defense commander, where you don't want to destroy your opponent, you just want to get to a truce. And I can't recommend this movie highly enough. It's very subtle, but it's just awesome and incredible in every way. Written by Steven Zaillian. I recommend it if you've never seen it. This one everybody should have seen, but there are some kids out today. When I say kids, I mean anyone over 21 to like 29 who might have missed it. Silverado. I love a good Western. Love them. And this and Tombstone are really 2 of the only really fun, really great Westerns I know of. It's got an amazing cast, and including a young, goofy Kevin Costner. Highly recommend it. It's really good. It's really funny. It's really heartwarming. It's got everything in it that a movie should be. I wish they still made movies like this. If you haven't seen it, couldn't recommend it enough. If you don't like this movie, we probably can't be friends. One of my favorite genres is romantic comedy. I think it is by far the hardest to do well, but my favorite romantic comedy of all time is easily The Philadelphia Story with Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and Jimmy Stewart. This movie is so good on so many levels. The star power in this thing is fantastic. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when Jimmy and Carrie have a talk when Jimmy's really drunk. And Catherine is the goddess. It's fantastic. If You may be allergic to black and white movies, but this movie is just so great in every single way. And the thing about this is like a real movie. So every single character in the movie kills it. Screenplays went the way, no disrespect to Julia Roberts, where in the mid-90s, everything was really star-driven. We used to have big stars back then that drove movies. And so, like, every scene was made to, like, make Julia Roberts, no offense, Julia, like, the star. And so Julia got all the good lines, that was how movies started to get geared towards before they totally denutted all the screenwriters. Disney. And so this was kind of like the antithesis of that, where every single character was great and every line everybody spoke was great, and it's just filled with laughs and it's really cute. And I don't know, I can't recommend this movie enough because it's my #1 favorite romantic comedy of all time. Let's jump forward to my favorite surprise hit of 2019, which just totally blew me away in every single capacity. Always Be My Maybe. It's on Netflix, and this was definitely the funniest romantic comedy I've seen since 40-Year-Old Virgin. Personally, I would say it's funnier than the 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's got it's really intelligent, it's really cute, it's really romantic. The female is the like strong. It's just, I can't say enough great things about this movie. And yeah, sure, I have a crush on Ali Wong, but she's married. So it's not a real crush. I support all happily married people, but she's super fantastic in it. And then if you want to like counterpunch, you can watch this movie first and then watch her two stand-up acts, which are great, but she's a little more foul. Like, you just got to see her stand up. She can say a lot of things that I can't get away with. And no, not about like race, but more about gender. And it's in the way they used Keanu in this was brilliant. I'd seen the GIFs before this movie came out, and then when I saw how they used Keanu in it, it was really perfect. And it just goes to show, especially in the vehicle of a romantic comedy, and it just goes to show how cool Keanu Reeves is. Yeah, if you don't like Keanu, we probably won't be friends. They're both great in it. It was definitely, the writing in it is spectacular. As a writer, screenwriter, it's kind of like a musician being impressed by a musician doesn't happen a lot. And so I think these two wrote the screenplay, and it was one of the best comedy screenplays since Mean Girls. Although this had a guy and a girl, and it was really cool. I can't say enough about this movie either. Jumping back and forth between color and black and white. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. This movie is so good, Adam Sandler made a crappy version of it. No offense, Adam. But there's just something about this is Capra. I don't know if you know Frank Capra. He's pretty good at filmmaking and keeping it kind of lighthearted and having a Spielbergian spirit, if you will. If I hadn't ventured off into being Planetary Defense Commander and the video thing, and would have stuck with movies, I would have always said my writing style is a cross between Spielberg and Tarantino, where it's got a lot of the gritty realism of Tarantino, but still that magical hope of a kid. That's my style. That's how I look at it. But this movie is just super, dude. It's so great, of the like small town guy who inherits a fortune, but he stays really small town and is just a good guy. And he goes on, this is where, like, sometimes if I'll be like, hey, Christopher McQuarrie, hey, Mike Judge, let's go on a bender. When I think of a bender, I think of Gary Cooper and Mr. Deeds going to town, going on a bender. It's really, I love that. Well, not that one. This is a great movie. As far as black and white, it's Capra. You can't go wrong, dude. But I highly recommend watching this one. Mr. Deeds goes, it's very funny, too. We are jumping back to the color. And super color, and this is probably one of the most underrated movies as far as just a good movie that was a lot of fun. And I'm surprised that it didn't, and it was Wachowski brothers. Really surprised it didn't catch on. I got to tell you, as a kid, I freaking loved Speed Racers. I mean, he was on par with all the Marvel heroes to me. My God, I miss my car. I had a car from age 15 to 47, which was only a couple months ago. I miss my car so much. Do you know because hurricane seasons are a lot of stress for me. So what I do is during all hurricane season, when I get stressed out, I go drive around from like 2 a.m. to sun came up to relieve stress, and it always helped. I don't have an acoustic guitar, or I don't have a car. I don't know how the hell I'm going to make it through this horrible hurricane season. Anyway, but yeah, if you've never seen Speed Racer, I highly recommend it. It's really good. I mean, I have a crush on Christina Ricci too, but just the whole thing is, and Racer X is always super cool. Anyway, watch it. It's great. When I say, who's the master? You say, show enough. Anyway, this movie's kind of a quote-unquote cult classic. It's called The Last Dragon. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Although I love a lot of movies. Some people might say it's cheesy, but everything, I've rewatched this movie several times, and I really love it, and it's really great, and its effect is pervasive throughout our culture, whether you've noticed or not. It's just, this is one of my favorite movies, and I probably wouldn't be Planetary Defense Commander without this. So if you've never seen this movie, and the whole cast is really good, and it's really cute, and it's a romantic comedy technically. If you've never seen The Last Dragon, I would give it a shot. I love this movie with all of my heart. Next up for pure action film aficionados is John Woo's Hard Boiled. Don't count on a lot of plot in this thing. Technically, in my mind, it holds the record for the most shootings in a film ever. But which today's generation may not be able to handle. But I don't know. Back in the day when action movies were a big thing, this was one of my favorites of all time. And Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung are two amazing actors, but definitely Chow Yun-fat is one of my favorite leading men action heroes of all time. I don't know if this is insulting, but I consider him like an Asian Cary Grant. He's just got that, no matter what he does, he can be charming and funny at the same time. And just, I don't know, I was a huge John Woo fan, and this movie is just incredible in its expanse, and Woo turns it all into a cinematic ballet. And there's this one scene in the movie where the guy has to shoot. This guy has to, I think it's the scene. He has to shoot somebody. And then the look he gives when he turns around is one of the best looks I've ever seen an actor give, ever. As far as like having inner rage and turmoil and sadness, and I don't know, I highly recommend it. If that's your cup of tea, definitely if you're not into that type, not into action films, and I wouldn't watch it. I don't know if you know this, but like most of my life I've studied comedy and dialogue on and off pretty religiously. Being funny is something you really got to work at. And it's best to be eclectic and understand a lot of different styles. So to really make me laugh, it's usually has to be really intelligent humor to get me. And on that note, one of my favorite movies where it's just pure genius but hilarious at the same time, and also hits a lot of very poignant issues on many levels, is I Heart Huckabees. I don't know why, this movie was so great. And I just remember I wasn't the biggest fan on Marky Mark until this, and then The Departed came out, and then I was sold on the kid. And it's got Dustin Hoffman in it. He's great. And then Jude Law, and the whole Shania Twain thing is crazy. So I don't know. I love this movie. It really didn't do that great, and I know a lot of people didn't. Lily Tomlin's in it, but I love this movie. You may or may not like it. It's one of those, but it's to me, it's really funny. I Heart Huckabees. Let me put. If I had to pick a top three actors, it would be Cary Grant, Brad Pitt, and Bill Murray. I don't know if you've seen the Royal Tenenbaums. I'm sure you have. This has been this is pretty popular. But like I was talking about, I love smart comedy, and I freaking love the Royal Tenenbaums. This movie is so good. I love Wes Anderson. He's this and Rushmore and the Jacques Cousteau. This movie's so great. So if you haven't seen this, it definitely gets the Thor News stamp of approval. It also has a wonderful cast, and I remember when I went, I was a film geek, so I went and saw Wes Anderson's very first movie in the theater, which was called Bottle Rocket. And I just remember he had me at caw, caw, caw. Bottle Rocket was, kind of rough. It had its good spots, and he was young, but you could tell the kid had a lot of talent. And so I just remember the caw. Yeah, I don't know. I knew that he was going to be good after Bottle Rocket, and then to see him go on to this I was very, very proud. Good job, Wes. I don't know if you kids today, like Eddie Murphy's one of the funniest, just overall human beings ever in the history of life. And so if you've never seen Beverly Hills Cop, I know it's also popular, but nowhere near as popular as when we were growing up. I ain't falling for no bananas, tailpipe. Like this movie, if you've never seen this, you've never happened to see Trading Places, if you've never seen even 48 Hours, it's not as funny, but he was, during his heyday, man, Eddie is the best. And he can, I don't know, I have this idea where I want to do a James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, Eddie Murphy, Jamie Foxx, and Chris Tucker, where Eddie Murphy would be 008 and Jamie Foxx, he would pass it on to Jamie, and then Chris Tucker would be his crazy cousin. James Bond would be straight man. Anyway, but like I love Eddie. He's great. He's given me so many laughs over the years. Never seen it. Highly recommend it. Yeah, I went to film school twice. Of course I'm going to recommend Citizen Kane. This movie really is, I used to watch it once every 3 months back in the day. It also is a film school within a film. It's, he was the first guy that ever even showed ceilings in a movie. I know it's a weird fact, but it's true. Like, they'd never showed ceilings in a movie before Orson Welles. And the whole battle that he tried to make the movie about William Randolph Hearst, who's kind of like Disney, who owned all the media. Trust me, the reason I'm so cynical about so many things is because I've done a lot of learning, and the media magnates are so powerful. Anyway, but like it's got the greatest cinema cut in the movie where he's like, you're losing $1 million. At this rate, you'll be broke in 50 years. And then they cut to 50 years later and he's broke. It's like the greatest cut in cinema. There are quite a few, but even there's a Pennyworth, the guy who runs his estate, is like, making a lot of money is easy if all you want to do is make a lot of money. Or he wants to run a newspaper. It's such a good thing. It really is a great movie, and there's just so much cool, interesting shit in it, and knowing that it happened in the 40s. Rosebud. It's the sled, dude. Here's the thing. If you have seen Rosebud, at the very beginning of the movie, he's just a kid in a cabin, right? I'm telling you what Rosebud is. He's a kid in the cabin, and then when they come to take him away and give him, the biggest fortune in America, he hits the guy with, this is mom looking at him out the window during that scene. He hits the person trying to get him with the sled because, that's his innocence. He was a normal kid until he inherited all that money. And so that's what he means when he says Rosebud, that he just wanted to go back and be a kid again. He didn't necessarily want to inherit the world's largest fortune. That's how I always read it. You know what film school movie I didn't like? The Bicycle Thief. No. I was like, dude, no. A guy loses his bicycle and then everybody's sad and like dies of starvation. I was like, no, I don't want to watch this anymore. You should watch Legit for the power of filmmaking. And this movie really impacted my filmmaking style. Definitely has a lot to do with my video making style. Like Legit, it's made from still frames. It's an old French film. Legit, the greatest film ever. It tells the story of the future. It's hard to explain, but it's really good. It's like from the early 40s or maybe even earlier than that. But it was revolutionary for its time. Legit. Another actor I totally love is James Dean. That kid was so cool. Man, he was lightning in a bottle. He's the only actor who only made fantastic movies because he died young. But it's got him, Rock Hudson, and Elizabeth Taylor. And he's got the character in it, Jet Rink. High five to Ariana if you're listening. But it's like he's battling the oil industry. It's like the Pedro scene is one of the greatest scenes. Pedro, I don't know, dude. I highly recommend. This movie is so good, and that when I just feel like I've tried my most, and no matter what I do, I'm getting my ass kicked. That's the look on my face. You ever seen Giant? It's pretty serious the whole way through. It's got a few laughs, but it's my favorite James Dean movie of all time, and it takes place in Texas. Cool movie, man. All right, if I want a really sentimental movie that's gonna make me cry, Big Fish will do. This is a really good movie. Pulls at the heartstrings, and it's just well made, very imaginative all around. I don't think it was that popular. I just know that I super liked it. And it's just really good. It's got Obi-Wan in it. I forget the lady, though. But I highly recommend it if you've never seen it. If you do like kind of sentimental movies that are cute and quirky and neat. Hey, how about American Graffiti? By none other than George Lucas. It shows how much life has changed from being a teenager in the 70s to being a teenager now. It shows how radically our world has changed in a short amount of time, and it has extreme anti-war undertones. It too has an all-star cast, though you might not remember the people. But this at the time was the most profitable movie in history, because I think he made it for, and it's got like Harrison Ford in it, Laverne and Shirley Pottsy. I mean, Ron Howard as actors. And it's a great movie. It's funny. It's cool. And so he made it for like $300,000, and it made like 30 million, which at the time was definitely the profit margin on this. This was the bar for all filmmakers, because before Disney destroyed the auteur, that was what your job was, is to make one really good movie for $1 million or under, and then you could get a budget. But to do that, you had to figure out a low budget script, how to shoot it, and then hope to make it. That's why Reservoir Dogs was pure genius, because it literally is like a stage play. Except for the bank robbery scene, the whole thing takes place just in the warehouse. And so that's why I always gave Tarantino credit for, he literally hit the low-budget filmmaker grand slam with Reservoir Dogs. And if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, that is definitely a good movie. Oh, heck. I've been talking for over 20 minutes. Well, I do love movies. And I hope you enjoyed this. So if anybody out there wants to donate, yesterday I made $5 in the overall goal. If you want to donate 5, 10, 20, any amount to my PayPal, I will leave it in the information box. Hopefully, I got like 6.5 hours to raise these funds. That would be wonderful, and I think I deserve a trip out of this stupid ass, stinky walls closing in on me foxhole. I need to get my bicycle. I got a bicycle, but it's so complicated to hook up. I need one of my X-Men women to come over and assemble it for me. I've tried a couple times and I just get frustrated. Okay. Or just overall, I'm having a fundraiser now to rent for THOR News. You can send it to TLEWISON 5430 Birdwood Road, number 416, Houston, Texas 77096. We're now on day 2. Okay. But yeah, this is a fundraiser within a fundraiser because I really, really want to go see this movie. The last movie I went and saw was Avengers. I didn't like it. I didn't like the idea that, oh yeah, you can just let half the people die and science will bring them back with quantum physics. As a screenwriter, I thought that was incredibly cheap. Okay, so I love you guys. Appreciate it. And let me know which ones I love that you may have seen, or let me know if you watch them and come back. Let me know what you thought. I do love movies, and when we save the world, maybe I'll get to make 1 or 2 of the 13 screenplays I've actually written. Yeah, I was a screenwriter in Hollywood for a while. For 1 year. It was great, but then I got to go to every single studio in town, and that was a big deal, and it freaked me out. Like, everybody just, I won't say anything. Okay, love you guys. Stay cool. Peace out. God bless everyone, and may the force be with you always. Let's live long and prosper together. Ooh, if I do get to go see it, hopefully the trailers will be good. I love good trailers. But yeah, I'm a huge Tarantino fan. Just wanted to say that again. And supposedly this one looks pretty light for him. And suppose it's and I like Leo too. He's great in The Departed. I'm sure he's been great in other stuff I can't remember right now. Okay, peace out. And Margot Robbie. She's one of my favorite tarot readers. What does that even mean? Asterisk.